My father came from Europe, so he was a shoemaker on the bench. And he worked on the bench and educated himself. And when the original owner wanted to sell it, he had to sell it to someone that understood the business. Because the showroom and the factory, it's two different businesses in one. I was 17 years old when I came here. So this is my 42nd year. And the business has changed quite a bit. When we originally came, it was strictly a custom orthopedic shoe store. I always wanted to bring it one step further into the theatrical end of it. And there was back and forth with my father. He didn't want to do it, I wanted to do it. His argument was he didn't know anything else but the orthopedic end of the business, helping people with polio, whatever their problems are. And I always felt that Broadway was just an addition to the business to make it grow. Then my father passed away. He passed away unexpectedly at the age 46. When he passed, that was our chance to do it, and we actually did it. It's paid off since. I mean, we do 85% of all Broadway musicals. Our first show was The Tap Dance Kid. My thought was, with the knowledge that we had in the orthopedic end of it, we could actually incorporate that into a dance shoe. So the actors get the best of both benefits, a custom-made shoe with a little bit of orthopedic knowledge into it. When you make an orthopedic shoe, you're actually making the shoe to the bottom of the person's foot, so they use 100% of their foot. When you make a theatrical shoe, you have to make the shoe tight enough where the dancer can feel the shoe. But when you want to put the orthopedics into it, you actually have to make the shoe a little bit deeper in certain areas. This way you can incorporate that orthopedic end into the shoe without jeopardizing any of the flexibility in the shoe. So that's his foot, and this is what we created from this foot. So it just fits right on there, and if you look at it, it covers everything. So now there'll be no pressure points on the foot. The print actually helps us. So he's pretty flat-footed. That's why you see all the blue. It's just very little right here. So we just fill that in with an arch. But the amazing thing is just look how big this gentleman's foot is. Yeah, we actually created this. It's going to come out to be a nice-looking shoe. 40 years ago, there were more polio cases. There were more people that had no choice but to get a custom-made shoe. Today, a lot of people are wearing sneakers, so they don't need the custom-made shoes. When I came here, my father actually, he put me in the factory. Don't know why, but now I understand why. He wanted me to understand the process, because if you understand the process how to do something, you know when you're talking to a designer how you're going to build the shoe and why you have to build it that way. Anybody can sell a pair of shoes, but you have to know how to build what you're selling. Dancers, actors, they have to go to therapy, they go to doctors because most of their feet are damaged. And some of the doctors we worked with, they know each other. They send one person over to make a certain shoe. And they were so impressed with the way we made it that they recommended the therapist and everybody else. And then the designers got involved with us. When you make a shoe for any Broadway show or any person in general, the whole process of once you start making a form with the measurements you take, if it's a big foot or if it's a little foot, you have to be able to make the shoe look like something. It all has to make sense. That's why custom-made shoes are a little bit more trickier than a standard-made shoe, because a ready-made shoe, it's a standard last. You know, all of them look exactly the same. When you custom make a shoe, 10 people can have the same shoe. They all have to look the same, but they have to fit differently. So that's a lot to take in. You gotta actually think about it. Then when you go into kinky boots, we had to make a man fit into a lady's shoe. So we developed a form that had the man's measurements, and we made woman's last. But it was a lot of back and forth in the factory. Everybody was involved in the process. I mean, we actually made the shoes, and I would actually be the guinea pig and try them on to see if it was going to work. And so we changed a few things. We had to get certain shanks in order to hold the men's weight, because some of the men are big with 5.5, 6-inch heels. And they dance, so we had to make it where it was safety, because the big thing is the safety aspect. It's better to make sure we get all the kinks out of it in the factory than the dancer or the actor to come in and put them on and find out there's a problem. Some of the original shoes are still on, they're still wearing. When you're on the stage dancing, you don't want to worry about your boot, your shoe, anything you have on. You want to do what you have to do and be safe.
There he is. How you doing, my friend? Great, man. Good to see you, as always.
And are you ready?
Let's do it. Come on. As an original cast member, 5 years in, I'm now on second and third pair of shoes being made for each number. And Gino makes every one. And then, when they break or get wobbly, we send them in for repairs and they're back the next day. Now, there we go. There we go. Okay.
If it's a heavy dance show, the choreographers would come in and they would actually tell us this is what they're doing. Usually the dance captain would come too. When the designers come here, they give me the Bible and I have to look through every single page, every design. And even though they have a lot of notes there, some of them make sense, some of them we have to readjust as far as getting your foot inside and out, how the dancer is gonna actually dance in it. They have to explain to me the show. So when they show me the designs, we actually understand how to build it for the show, for the whole process. And then we talk about where they want certain details. The beauty of this is, being that we built the shoe, we know how to correct the shoe. You try to stay within their budget, but if you're gonna custom make the shoe, they have to understand they have to pay for it. If you're putting on a $15 million production, you can't have a budget with clothes and shoes only. It's tough, And they have to cut back on their order, or else they just have to go, just bite the bullet and say, you're right, Gino. It's a big production. If we want it right, this is what we have to do. I would say Kinky Boots has the most detail. Kinky Boots, Wicked, even Aladdin. There's so much detail involved. I enjoy detail going into the shoe. The designers have certain things that they want to see that makes the product stand out even more. Seeing the picture come to life. Seeing them happy that this is what I had in my mind. You captured my picture. You twist on the curl up. Depending on how pointy you want it, you would sand it more and more. This is the end result once it's all finished. Then they got to cover the little seam right there. The soles go on with a special heel. This is Hamilton. These are all Hamilton shoes. Get the buckles on. Once they're on, we gotta bend them down so they don't catch the clothing. A lot of the dancers' forms are here. We keep them with the last show they worked on. We pull the form out and we know it's perfected already because they actually used it on other shoes. I believe one day it will end because there's no more shoe manufacturing here in the States. So all the supplies we need, buckles, thread, shanks, leather, it all comes from outside the United States. Shoemakers are getting harder and harder to find. Years ago when I first started, we used to have all the salesmen come in with, their sales briefcases, and they would actually display everything they had. Buckles, elastic, snaps, shoelaces. Now that's a thing of the past. Now we actually have to go look for it. Get a lot of stuff custom made. As I get older, there's really no one that I know of that's going to take the business over, because there's not too many people that know about custom making shoes to the degree that we understand them. Yeah, because there'll always be a need, but there may not be a source. When I go to see the shows, everyone looks at the show, I look at the shoes. Because there's certain things in the shoes that I want to see if you actually see it from the audience. And sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. It's a good feeling to see your product up on Broadway. It's a good feeling to see your product in museums that will be there forever. It's a good thing to help people walk more comfortably and do their job more comfortably.
This business was started and has always done Broadway, so we've been doing Broadway since 1908. Dealing with Broadway, we really have to be as perfect as possible, because there are no do-overs. If you take your clothes to a dry cleaner and it comes back with a broken button, yeah, you might be upset, but you'll bring it back to him. We have to make sure everything's perfect because it has to go on stage that night. They just want to be able to get their costumes and put them, right on stage. Last night we picked up about 30 shows. We have all 3 Disney productions here, Aladdin, Frozen, and Lion King. We have Pretty Woman here, we have Book of Mormon, we have Getting the Band Back Together, we have Boys in the Band. My Fair Lady is here, which actually is our family favorite. I'm really on call 24/7. We've always had at least 2 or 3 full-time tailors. There's also a couple of people here that, if we need a little extra help, are capable. Monday to Friday, we run production. There's a handful of us that are here at 2 o'clock in the morning, checking in the clothes and getting the clothes clean, and then the pressers and the drivers start coming in like between 5 and 6. For the most part, we're always in this building by 4 a.m.
By the time I get here, Bruce has already been here, sometimes 2, 3, 4, sometimes 6 hours before me, because things need to be done immediately. The cleaner will come anywhere between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, and then they'll open up the bags and they'll start emptying out the bags, and then they'll handwrite a list. Nothing really is computerized when it comes to the shows. Everything is handwritten, because it's quicker to do it that way, because they have to look at everything. And they have to make sure if something has to come off of them or if something looks any different from the week before. So everything is looked at more than once and very carefully. Then it's determined on how it's going to get cleaned. We do several different types of cleaning. Wet cleaned, dry cleaned, hand cleaned.
There is a dry cleaning school, which is actually in New York. It helps make our industry a better industry for people to be educated, making sure you're doing the right things with all the chemicals that you're dealing with on a daily basis. Whatever's going on in the dry cleaning world, which most of the time these days has to do with environmental regulations that we have to deal with. So there's just a lot of paperwork more than anything else. Everything is more efficient today than it was years ago. To be environmentally conscious, you need to handle the chemicals and dispose of them at the end of their life cycle in a proper manner. There's also packaging that could be better, recycling of hangers, recycling of plastic. Broadway has something called the Broadway Green Alliance. So Broadway as a whole over the last 20 plus years has done things like change the lights, to more energy efficient lights and stuff, and we're a member of that because we deal so closely with Broadway as well.
I actually went to school for theater, for acting, singing, set design. I think my education in college absolutely helped me here. Just knowing how certain things are painted or how things are beaded.
There's a lot of times where we might have to remove buttons or buckles because they would get damaged, and obviously we have to make sure that we know how to put them back on in the right manner.
Bruce actually does all the scheduling for the costumes. He is so on top of it, even before the wardrobe people actually call him. He'll get online and he'll know what the schedule is before they even know themselves.
Sometimes the company manager, when a production starts, will call us to say, you know, we're starting this production and whatever paperwork that might need to go between us and them to set up the account. But for the most part, the conversation between me while the production is running is with the wardrobe supervisor, because they know the time that they need it picked up and they know what specialty needs they might have.
My day-to-day work is pretty much you do everything, down to cleaning the toilet bowls if you have to. Sometimes I have to call the wardrobe supervisors, sometimes I have to call the producers or the company managers, and I have to get things together. Sometimes I have to call our regular customers because we do regular dry cleaning for the upscale people.
When a production starts, if they know something was maybe dyed, but they're a little worried that maybe it wasn't set properly, they try to give us a heads up. They want to point out a specific stain that they're aware of. We kind of look out for it. I mean, there's bead work that we see all the time. There's all kinds of stuff. In the back, one of the pieces we have today is, it kind of almost looks like a horse saddle, but it's from Frozen. It's for Sven, who I believe is a reindeer. And there's a special way we need to actually package it when it goes back so we don't lose the shape on it. Something like that might actually only be able to be done by hand. And then we address it for the odor more than anything else. We have a room specifically to treat the odors. There's a couple of machines that we have. One's called an ozone machine, and the other one is something called hydroxyl. And they're used by like restoration companies and fire restoration companies. They kill some of the odors. You know, especially if it's a big musical dance type of thing. The big things we look out for is the makeup and perspiration. You know, occasional ink stain or, you know, any kind of spillage of somebody eating something. This place is kind of like, for a kid, is like Disneyland, all the costumes and stuff. It wasn't really till I started driving that I realized, you know, as a 7 or 8 year old kid, you think every dry cleaner kind of looks like this, but it doesn't. And really the reason that I started coming here is at age 6 or 7, when everybody else was playing Little League and all the other fathers were there. My dad was never there because he was always here. So that's really what brought me here, in order to be able to be around my dad. We are very unique. There are dry cleaners, even in New York, that are larger than us, but nobody that does Broadway. Ernest Winzer was actually a man who started the business in 1908. My grandfather bought it in 1952 from Mr. Winzer himself. My grandfather put my father to work. That's my grandfather. That was made for him when he retired. We don't even know what all the signatures were, so there might have actually been some famous names there. I started working full-time underneath my dad in 1986 when I graduated college. And then my father retired in 1999, so I took over in January of 2000.
Bruce's schedule was always different than any other parent's schedule. So when the kids were growing up, you know, he always went to work or went to sleep around 6, 7 o'clock at night. And my kids were, hey, Daddy, let's still play.
When I first started in the business, each particular costume we actually had to mark with a tag. It was kind of had a clip. You had to put it on, obviously, properly. Today, everything's a little bit more high tech, but I was at a show sitting in house seats, so pretty much up front, and there was one tag on this one coat that was on stage pretty much 90% of the show that I just kept seeing going around and around and around. Remember that the show must go on. So these are the shows that we're getting ready to deliver today. So this is Aladdin, beaded stuff. Hello, Dolly, School of Rock, Pretty Woman, Boys in the Band. Some stuff for Radio City. And that is Lion King. Famous hyenas of Lion King. Alright, so the Velasco has an opening tonight, so they're looking to get it early, and the booth is looking to get it early as well because they just closed and they want to pack it up. Getting the Tony Award this year, sort of solidified how important we are in this industry. So, I mean, we've always taken it very seriously. When somebody calls me with any kind of problem, I take it to heart. Even if it's not that we did something wrong, but if something's not perfect in any way, shape, or form, I just feel like we didn't do our job and we let them down. A lot of my wardrobe people still, whenever they text me, right now it's always like, Mr. Tony Award winner, can we ask you a question? It's nice to know, that we are appreciated.